I'm Mike Gosby, and welcome to a short video on Customer Advisory Board case studies. Before I walk you through a couple of Customer Advisory Board case studies, let's take a moment to remind ourselves that a CAB is best thought of as a strategy level focus group. In fact, it's a wonderful tool for learning how to be and stay relevant, for learning how to strengthen customer loyalty and how to win more customers like these. And it's a great tool for helping you focus your business so you can drive your competitive advantage. The first case study I want to walk you through is with a Fortune 500 company. In fact, they'd been running their cabs for the past 10 years. However, in recent years, customers had been complaining that the agenda had become too tactical and too stagnant. The value proposition of the advisory board had become unclear, not only for the host company, but for the customers as well. In fact, the customers had expressed concern about the host company not really taking full advantage of what the customers could offer and share in the advisory board forum. And the net result of that was the unfortunate delegation of CAB attendees. The senior VPs who were invited to attend the CAB had started to delegate to lower level product managers because the agenda had become overly tactical. It was at this time that the host company hired a new senior executive who took over duties as being the executive CAB sponsor. And she and I sat down to discuss the directive, what we wanted to achieve from the advisory board program. And we determined that what was needed was to design and execute a next generation world-class CAB program. So we took a snapshot of how the cabs were being run today. And in fact, in the customer's own words, they described the meetings as being boring and too tactical. The objective had become one of product direction. In fact, there was too much product focus. The discussions were tactical, and as I had mentioned before, the attendees, the invitees were the senior executive decision makers, but they delegated their attendees to first-line product managers. And in response, the agenda had become a parade of product presentation and demos. The frequency was twice per year, and these meetings were always conducted on site, and the host company had always facilitated their own meetings beforehand. The new model moving forward was going to be completely different. In fact, the model that we were striving for was to make the content and engagement strategic and fresh. And so the objective, whereas the old meetings were focused on the product, the new objectives, or the objectives of the new meetings, were to focus completely on the customers. The customer became the center of the universe, not the product. And the type of meeting was to engage in a strategy level focus group with a 3 to 5 year horizon. And to do that, the agenda topics were focused not on products and product updates, but on trends, drivers, and priorities the customers were facing as they were driving their business forward. And then we could discuss how and where the host company could provide some value to help them achieve their goals. Attendees were about a dozen, and it again was initiated through invitation only with new rules of engagement and participation. So working with KickStart Alliance, the host company rescoped their customer advisory board program, and we initiated what we called a CAB alumni program to delicately and diplomatically essentially disinvite the wrong people who were attending. These were the lower level product managers. Now, we wanted to be very careful with this because we did not want to do anything that would damage any relationship, and we always wanted everybody, host company and all the customers, to save face. So that was a very carefully structured program to gently move them off the invitation list, but yet maintain a healthy dialogue with them. And we were able to do that through what we called the CAB Alumni Program. This also opened the door for us to re-invite and reposition the CAB as a strategy level focus group with the senior level VPs we wanted to invite. And as part of that, we conducted a brand new set of in-depth customer interviews. We defined new rules of engagement for both the host company and for the attending customers. And we facilitated these meetings rather than the host company facilitating themselves. uh, we stepped in to facilitate for them because it's very difficult for a senior executive to facilitate and participate in the same meeting themselves. So splitting out those roles where we took over the duties of the facilitator helped them participate to a greater extent. And we also talked with them about how they could better communicate and share the post-cab information and results more thoroughly throughout the company. And the results were phenomenal. So the new cab program received universal and ecstatic customer approval. So much so that the customers came up to the executives afterwards and said, wow, you really listened to some of the advice we gave you to up-level and reinvent this program. This is very exciting. We're looking forward to continuing the next meeting, which led to improved relationships. And most important at all is that by the end of the next year, the host company was able to double the annual revenue with these top customers attending their advisory board. Now, how were they able to do that? They were able to do that because with the agenda focused on strategic issues, on where they're taking their companies forward, opportunities then were discovered on how the host company can best help them achieve their goals, which led to new understandings of what new products and services and other ways to help these customers be successful. And that led to a whole series of account review meetings that would not have happened before. So the CAB was instrumental in solidifying these relationships and driving more revenue. Having said that, though, sometimes some executives think that the customer advisory boards is just a tool limited for Fortune 500 companies, and nothing could be further from the truth. So the second example I want to share with you is with a small technology company. This is a small company established in 2000, $50 million annual run rate in a highly competitive market. Their markets, their traditional market had been shrinking, and so there was a deep need to find new areas to expand their products and service offering. So the directive, working with the CEO, she and I sat down and agreed that one key tool to help them be successful was to form an advisory board, so much so that this information would help her and her team make future investment decisions. In 2013, we rolled out the first meeting, which we actually considered to be more of an executive roundtable. The primary distinction between an executive roundtable and an advisory board, the same amount of planning goes into it, the same objective, the same strategic focus. The only difference really is that the expectation of an executive roundtable is that it is a single meeting, versus an advisory board has an expectation that's a continuing dialogue from meeting to meeting. So they weren't quite sure whether they were willing to or ready to make the investment for a longer term program, so we rolled it out as just a single executive roundtable in 2013. It proved to be extremely interesting, relevant, and successful, so much so that this program grew in 2014 to be a full-fledged advisory board and continues to expand into 2015. It's become a valued resource to aid the CEO. What both of these quick case studies have in common is they follow a similar set of critical success factors. Both of them were able to articulate a central CAB objective and to stay true to it in envisioning and executing this type of strategic dialogue. And this started with knowing the questions they wanted to ask first. It did not start with who could we get to attend and therefore let's set an agenda to be relevant to this group. It started the other way around. It started with what do we really want to learn? What are our questions? And then figuring out who are the best people we should invite to answer those questions. Both companies designed their advisory board to be small, to encourage an intimate conversation with this important collection of customers. Not only that, they came prepared to act on the information they collected, and they decided that it was in their best interest to hire an outside facilitator so they could participate in the meeting and not have to worry about all the facilitation duties. These are just a few examples of many of the companies we've had the privilege of working with since 2002. And since that time, My team and I have helped companies design and execute more than 100 customer advisory board programs. What I think makes us most unique is that we've been in your shoes. We come from the world of business and have held leadership positions, VP positions in high-tech B2B companies. And I think that allows us to bring a level of empathy and understanding as to not only the pressures that you're under, but the goals and objectives that you're looking to bring forth for your company. And to do that, we're not just your facilitator, we're actually your partner through every step of the advisory board process. And we map our methodology to be flexible and agile so it overlays and connects with your own business process and your uniqueness of your team and your company culture. And finally, in 2013, I wrote a couple of books to describe and make available many of the best practices that are helping companies today form stronger relationships with their best customers. And these books are available on Amazon. You can find more information on customeradvisoryboards.wordpress.com. And finally, for more information and best practices, I invite you to contact me at mikeg@kickstartall.com, or you can visit me at www.kickstartall.com.